those who joined in, I'm just continuing from where I left off yesterday. This is the monogram that we started. Not yesterday, day before yesterday. Got my dates wrong. And so I'm going to try and see if I can finish this today. I'd like to finish it today. It's taking too long. You'll find I'm doing these odd shapes. This is only around the shapes that we can't change or we can't do much about. Otherwise, I continue with quadrilaterals and triangles. starting to notice some of my shapes get big, so I have to keep the proportion in mind. I'm just continuing from where I left off yesterday, so nothing new per se, just a few, just trying to complete this actually. Today is probably not the best day for a live. I don't have too many, or maybe I didn't send out the live invite with adequate time, but it doesn't matter. We want to finish. I want to finish this, so it doesn't matter. The recording is going to be there. Alka, I actually liked your dal vada. That was really nice. Really well done. You got the hang of it. So these are the corners I'm talking about. Your shapes of the corners are going to be rather odd because you're trying to fit them in the odd kind of shape you have there. So it's not going to be a triangle or a rectangle. It's going to be some odd shape that you curve, right? Hey Manisha. So this is just 8 shapes, fitting one shape into another like a jigsaw. Looks like I have some company after all. There's something very relaxing about just painting, you know, shapes. You don't have to. Perhaps it is that you don't really make a mistake. Really, like I said, there's no big mistake here. Any shape you want, as long as it kind of fits there, good enough. If you look carefully, you will notice that the um, blocks these shapes that I'm making on this side are definitely bigger than the shapes I made yesterday. So this continuity can cause few disruptions like this, but in the overall picture it really doesn't stand out, you know. Unless you have a really big disparity, yeah, I mean, you can make out this side is, but also at the same time this side is busy. So okay, coming to the end of the hour. Finally. Sometimes it just feels like it doesn't finish, doesn't end. And this one finally has. So there you go, R is complete. I will now be moving on to I think I'll move on to the bigger yellows, because I have, oh yeah, hi Manisha, thank you. Yeah, Mosaic has that effect, you can do something really simple and it'll still looks quite nice. I guess, I didn't realize that mosaics could be this pleasing. I think that's the word for it. Very pleasing to most people. I'll turn this around so I don't put my finger or my hand on top of that. So here I am consciously making bigger pieces of mosaic. So we're going with that look. We're going with the, for one, we want to see the difference. We want to see how I want to see how the bigger pieces of mosaic will look against smaller pieces. And for another, I also want to finish this piece. So if I go with small pieces, I'm just not going to finish, and with such a lot of background. Sorry for all the noise in the background. There's a lot of prayer calling and stuff. It's tough too, and I'm by the window, so yeah. I hope the classical music is something of a respite in contrast to the rest of the sounds. There's no order in mosaic. You don't need to worry about I did this first and did that second, really, because you are not really overlapping anything. So you can do whatever color, whichever section you want. The key is just to make sure you don't mess up what is wet. That's fundamental, of course. After doing all this work, the last thing you want is your hand went over something. And that happens. That happens too many times for me to count. Most upsetting. And yet, it happens. So it's this pools, all these pools of paint, that cause that unevenness to come in, and that's, I guess that's the beauty of a mosaic, right? If you look at glass, you realize that glass was also quite uneven. Colored glass is quite uneven, so the coloring is uneven. So that's probably why, compared to a flat color, suppose I were to use gouache instead of watercolor, I'd get a very different effect. You won't get this slight dark and light of the same shade, and that's why, like I said, that's very appealing about watercolor as a medium to imitate glass mosaic or tiled mosaic. So I can show you something I did with, since we're at it, I tried doing, where is it gone? I must have put it somewhere. So there's this, I tried some experiments with mosaic. I did, I tried my name in a bookmark with what is it, metallic watercolors, because I thought, let's see how it looks. So metallic watercolors aren't really they aren't really transparent, right? I mean, yes, you do get some transparency if it is diluted, but still nothing like plain watercolors. So I did not get the desired outcome, and sometimes you have to figure it out when you do it, that's key. Where is it? I wanted to show it to you because then so here's what I was talking about. I did this bookmark, and you'll notice, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a shine, right? I mean, there's this sparkle. Yeah, there you go. So when it shines, when the light shines on it, you really can't see the colors, but this is blue, green, blue, and it wasn't as impressive. You look at all the other mosaic we've done. Look at this is just plain watercolor. Hey Aditi. So you have this difference, this unevenness is really pretty, and here you really don't have much of an unevenness. And the other problem is, of course, light. The moment you flash light on metallic colors, it kind of loses you can't really see the colors as vividly, and the colors aren't vivid. So I gave it a pink wash, and again, overall not the most satisfying. Hey Alka, I'm just showing you some of my failed attempts at mosaic. So this is one mosaic with the glitter metallic watercolors. This is mosaic with normal colors, but I decided to give it a background, and something I did was really wrong. I think maybe the colors, having the background done in this kind of a wet on wet approach, and then using the same colors for the letters, did not work too well. It's just too much of color, So what would have worked in this case is if I did a negative mosaic, and that is what I'm going to show you. I actually did a negative mosaic, and that looked really nice. So when I say negative, we fill up the background with mosaic, and we leave the alphabets. We don't color in the alphabets. So here, on the other hand, you're coloring in the alphabets, and you're leaving the background absolutely plain. So here's a negative mosaic. This is what I did quite recently, actually, between yesterday and today. So this is negative mosaic. I filled the entire background with color, leaving behind these shapes, and I've kind of tried to move from a red to a pink to a red to a pink to a red to a pink, kind of a graded look. So this is negative. Now we could try this with, this would have worked well for probably this bookmark. So I basically needed to just take this color out and do what I wanted to do in the background. Forget the wet on wet and leave the alphabets of Rhea as is, and that would turn out quite similar to this, and it would have been lovelier, definitely lovelier. So one more fail and one more success, negative mosaic. The other success I had, I did one tulip, and that was really nice. I should show you. I just drew the outline of a tulip, and that's how it turned out. I shouldn't keep my brush everywhere. Let me put that brush down. Okay, there you go. So this tulip is just an outline. I just basically drew out the tulip and the stem and the leaves, and I did a shaded approach, took a shaded approach, and it just is so much better. There's your light color here and there for the petal. You don't keep a solid color, you bring in shades, and it's already no alka, no stencils at all. This was just plain straight drawing. I went to Pinterest, looked at a tulip, and just drew its shape. Thanks, Aditi. Yeah, I know, tulips are so pretty. So I think one key thing that I find with mosaics is that you need to visualize what you're doing as a solid color. And once you know the solid color picture, once you understand how you're going to shade it, it's very simple in the mosaic. You simply convert that into a mosaic, right? So if I wanted to start dark and go light, it's yeah, if I wanted to start dark and go light, I know it's going to be that way, so I keep changing my shade as I get there. You know, I add more yellow, more orange, whatever. Yeah, Alka, you were asking about the hearts? No stencils, no. I just drew hearts. In fact, you'll see my pencil marks. It was just freehand, so my hearts are not exactly perfect. You'll look, this is wonky. Quite a wonky heart. No stencils. You could use a stencil if it helps you, but I've done this freehand, so it is wonky. It is quite a wonky heart. The center there and the center there are not aligned. And something I worked on for probably 2 hours was this. I really wanted to try out fruits, and I wanted, you know, I wanted colors. I wanted different colors and shades. So I wanted a shaded set of fruits, and this is what I tried. Again, freehand. So this was nice because there's so much of shading. I wanted to bring in a lot of shading, and I wanted to. So again, visualizing is very, very important. I wanted to know, I mean, I had to plan where the light was coming from, where I'd have my light spots and things like that, and then I work that in. So I start from the dark and I start going light. When I, sorry about the noise, that's my son. So what I did is I start with the dark in most cases, and then I simply have to lighten when I want these, and so it's easier for me when I lighten it versus if I go from light to dark, right? So yeah, Manisha, I know what you mean. It's so charming, isn't it? Yeah. Hey Amma, thanks. So this is really lovely, and I really thought I could do something with this for the kitchen, you know. I think maybe something similar to this. I don't know what the plan is, but I was thinking for my kitchen. It really looks so attractive. So yeah. So again, no template, and this is just straight outlines of most things. I mean, I've not gone into any detail within. That's it. So that's what I wanted to. I'll be putting this up on Insta, and hopefully doing more things like this. So one more thing I felt kind of interferes is a background. You know, for example, now in this case, I was really tempted to put a light blue background similar to this. But what happens with putting a background, however light it is it does not let that white, you know, it doesn't give you the same effect as having a white background and color. So you can see the difference, right? I mean, I know this red is not as bright as the apple, but somehow when you have all this background, there's something that's not sharp enough or defined enough, and the white background really does a good job. So I left it as it is, resisted my urge to put a background to it, make my life difficult, and it looks pretty as is. So yeah. Alright, getting back to, so it's fun, you know, it's very addictive. I have to tell you this. I just like start off and then one thing to another thing to another thing. It's just, you can't stop. You get, and then while you're doing this, because you have enough thinking time, you end up thinking of all these great things you can do, and then you're on to the next thing, right? So so yeah, that's I'm going to do this once again, but not I'm going to actually try and name, you know. So I've kept this template ready, and I'm going to do negative yeah, I know, Aditi, exactly. So I'm going to do negative for this, probably a blend of 2 colors or 1 color, I'm not sure. I mean, depends on, one color becomes very monotonous. When you have more color, you kind of think what you want to do and where you want to start introducing that color. So maybe 2 colors, and I will keep the letters, the alphabets, white, so they look, you know, they stand out. So yeah, I'm going to try this, my next one, as you can see. Yeah, I know, Alka, so addictive, really. All right, back to this. So what turned out now, for example, look at this larkspur. What I liked about it was when I drew it, I just drew these outlines, okay? I just like drew some wiggly lines for each of those flowers. But once I started putting the shapes in, it occurred to me that we could do this petal structure, you know, have the mosaic pieces put in a petal shape. And I really like the end product. I mean, I didn't expect to see this, or I didn't visualize this, but it's turning out really well. So yeah, I'm going to continue. It's not much actually. There was somebody who asked me a question that I think I should answer, and that was about can't we make these shapes not just square and rectangle and triangles? That means basically more than 3 to 4 sides. Can you make a 5-sided shape or a 6-sided shape? And the answer to that is yes, you can, but not very often, not in too many sequences. Now have a look at this. This is what I did. I tried experimenting. If you're going to make big mosaic pieces, it is probably okay to have 6-sided figure or a 5-sided figure. Okay, that's because you can see the 5 sides. But if you make this smaller, now if you're going to make it this size, okay, the size I'm doing this R, or even for that matter some of the leaf shapes, if you're going to put 5 and 6 sides, you're not going to be able to see the sides, right? It just becomes a big blob of it looks somewhat like a circle. I would think it looks like a circle. So it doesn't look defined, whereas when you have triangles and quadrilaterals, you can feel the defined sides, the very clear sides, so demarcation. So I feel it's best to stick to 3 and 4, or maybe an occasional 5, but not continuous 5 or 6-sided figures, or or more than 4 sides. It doesn't have the same kind of look or appeal. Or just that's just me. It's possible that, like I said, mosaics have been done with full circles, and those look wonderful too. But I just feel personal tastes, I suppose. I just feel that looks nicer with shapes that have sides. Anybody had any other question? I wasn't some other question I said I will talk about. It's escaped me now. Yeah, so the other thing is this size thing, it's very easy to lose your sense of size. So if you notice, this is yesterday's work. They were still bigger. Now it's starting to get small. So that's what happens when you take a break. But you can kind of get over it. If you consciously do it, work on it, it'll work out. Alright, what's the time? 45. No chance I'm finishing this today. But I'm not going to do another live for this. I'm, to be frank, a little tired. So this is another problem with the background, right? You don't have the same kind of brightness, and it's just more time consuming, right? So backgrounds are definitely avoidable if you feel that your subjects are already bright enough, right? So your choice, of course. At the end of the day, you must really enjoy it. I have to say, initially I did enjoy the backgrounds a lot, but now I'm starting to see that it's not as much of a value add, if you know what I mean. Now, these shapes are relatively easy because they're big. The challenge is going to be the small stuff. Oh, looks like a lot of our Friday gangs here. Hello everyone. The music is too loud. I actually put it off because somebody was tinkering with the piano in the house, and I thought, why put background music when you have live music? And then that music stopped. And the dilution is really important. We can't work with too much of pigmented paint, so it's nice to have it diluted. Anybody trying this out that has any questions or any suggestions. I mean, that's another thing. Each of us learn something different from the same exercise. So anything that you could share? Oh, there. Small space. That happens sometimes. You are quite reliant on your eye to tell you what is pleasing to look at. So you have to really keep looking at your work throughout, so you can catch any changes in your shape. Not changes in shape, but proportion. Like if your sizes are getting too small, too big, whatever. All of that. It's nice to watch out for those things, because the moment you realize something is happening, you can change, and there is no you won't make out really, because once you change, the next shape is going to be back to whatever you want and size you want, and it's all good. Actually, Alka, the thing is, I actually enjoy the S68 series. You know, those were yeah. So those were the ones I used for such a long time, until I actually, what happened with those is I did not take care of them. I would leave them in the water very often, and I kind of ruined those brushes. So I still go back to them sometimes, but I have started using these Princeton round brushes. They're expensive, okay, and expensive, little bit unnecessary. You don't need this kind of a brush just to do fine work, you know. Like I said, the S68 is just good, and I mean perfectly fine. Just have to take care of it. So Princeton Heritage is nice. I have a couple of these Princeton types. I mean, as in what do you call these? These are the series. So this is the Heritage series, and I like the point of the Heritage series. Heritage series points are very good. On the other hand, there is something called the Aqua Elite and the, what is the other one, Velvet Touch. And those, I think, I mean, personally, I feel that those are a little bit more, they hold a lot of water. The brush holds a lot of water, but the point doesn't come back as fine as the Heritage for me. But that could be because I'm using Heritage a lot and I'm just gotten used to it. You know, that's another thing with brushes. Princeton is good. So because it's expensive and because I made the mistake of ruining brushes, I am now taking care of them a little more, trying at least not leaving it in the water when I just get up and go. Yes, Amma, I know Mendelssohn reminds you of my childhood and all the practice I did. I'm grateful I'm not playing it anymore. Welcome, Alka. I really like all the work you're doing. Please do share. You're doing a fantastic job. So that's the thing with mosaic, right? I mean, it isn't difficult. It's just you have to start, and once you start, it's quite easy. You'll find it's quite easy. And then it's addictive. Hey Samira, how are you? So nice to see you here. There may be a lag in what I'm seeing and what I'm responding to, so forgive me for that. Okay, so I'm going to stop with this because I'm just a little tired of this. But I am going to go back to for the last 5 minutes or so, go back to my Larkspur flower. Just a hint of purple in there, just a hint, not too much, not too much. Good thing to test now. When you take a break, your colors start to change, and then yeah, that's okay. A little bit of blue maybe. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, since the red is more or less dry, I'm going to put in this. Oops, there you go, there's my mistake. So I'm not going to touch pieces that are joined by mistake. I'm going to leave them as it is. Like I said yesterday, if anything joins up, especially these kind of small mosaic pieces, leave them and wait for it to dry. Then use your white jelly roll pen and simply draw the line between the pieces that got merged. That's it. You do anything else and you're going to ruin what you did. So take my word for it, I've done it. I'm using Samira, I'm using a size 2 this is a Princeton Round Heritage size 2. So I can also use a size 2, what is that, S68, Camlin S68. It works just as well. It's just that my size 2 has gone for a toss. It's kind of bent. Actually, it's not bad really. It's just that it's bent, and so the point is not exactly straight. That's it. I mean, nothing else. And I've started using this, so I just got stuck on this. You know, that's the thing with brushes. Sometimes you have so many brushes and you only end up using that one brush every single day. So there's really no point to lots of brushes. Eventually what you need is that one brush. Oh, 54 already. But yeah. So I'll finish these flowers, and one more thing that I will do is the centers, and I just wanted to show you that I am going to put Larkspur flower does have a slight yellowish brown center, so I'm going to put that center for the ones that are dry, not this one, because it will be a unholy mess if I do it right now. It's all wet, but the previous set has dried, so I can afford to. Now the other good thing about a mosaic, and I mean I'm looking at all the advantages really, because very often you have to keep these things in mind when you're planning what you want to paint. The advantage of a mosaic is that if your color changes in the middle of mixing or something like that happens, it's not a showstopper. In fact, it actually looks nice. You may actually find that for example, one part of this larkspur is more blue and another part is more purple, and that's fine. It actually looks nice. It looks like you planned it. So that's a big convenience, isn't it, for most of us who struggle with getting the same color again. I don't like wasting paint, so I don't mix too much very often, and that means I end up making paint again, color again, and then that's the problem, that you don't have the same shade even if you try. So mosaic is excellent for that. Just that last bit and my blue runs out. Any of you trying this, please put it on Instagram. If you are putting it on Instagram, please tag me so I can see. It's really heartening to see more of you all try it. It's and discover the joy of mosaics. Alright, so I'm just going to for the last minute, I'm basically going to put yellow ochre, not yellow, because it's not going to show. I'm going to put a little yellow ochre at the centers, and for this I'm not going to dilute it either too much, because just a dot, and if I dilute it I will not see it. So it's going to be a little thick, and I will put it at the centers here, just a dot. So again, like I said, I'm not touching this, it's still wet and I don't want to do anything to it. So I will finish this off now on my own because it's just taking too long. But that's the thing with the mosaic, right? It's going to take you a long time, especially if you do the background. So avoidable, if you don't have time, avoid the background. And if you do, choose a very light background, because otherwise it's not going to stand out. Like my other mosaic, the S that I showed you, it doesn't stand out as brightly. That's with background and that's without background. So you see the difference? So think before you start the background, because once you start it, you can't stop it, right? That's how it is. Yeah, thanks Aditi, I'm so glad you attended. Nothing new for you, of course. It's just new for me, that's all. So please do post, and I will keep I'll probably have to take a conscious break from Mosaics, so I'll continue this for the rest of my life. Sorry, turn this around the wrong way. Yeah, and you can make bookmarks. I mean, this was intended to be a bookmark, but you can make bookmarks, you can make a whole lot of things actually. Even a card. You can make a card, you can form a pattern. If this was a square or rectangle, this goes on a card, and that looks fine. I will show you one mosaic that I really liked, and it's something that inspired me to consider doing the fruits. Is this mosaic about, I'm trying to, where are my pins? Yeah, do I have it here? I don't have it. So if you go to Pinterest, you might want to look up a pomegranate. There is a pomegranate mosaic. That's awesome, simply pretty. The person who's done it has actually gone to the it's an open pomegranate, and that person has actually drawn the grains, or the, what is the word we called it, arrows, and colored them. So it's so pretty. I will try and look for it. So yeah, that is kind of what inspired me to go into fruit, and it turned out well. So yeah, thank you everyone for joining. This was fun, and if I come up with something more, I will put out a notice a little earlier so everyone is able to catch it. Thanks so much. If you have any questions, please do reach out to me, DM, WhatsApp, whatever helps, and do share your work. Tag me if you can. And yep, that's about it. Thank you. See you all. Bye bye.